What's up, chat? What's up, chat, man? What's going on, man? We are back with another episode with Conversations with Coach Black, presented by I'm Just Saying Podcast. We want to welcome y'all back, man. I know we've been gone for a little minute, but we are back today, man, with episode 4. It's called Track and Field, man. So before we get into the episode, make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel, Coach Black. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe, man. Let's get them subs up, man. Let's get me to 200. I think I'm about 110, 113 right now. Let's get to 200. You know what I mean? Help me get to 200. That's just a little small goal right now. So make sure you tell a friend, you know what I mean? Tell a coach, man. You know, just tell the community, man, to sub up, man. So sub up. Like I said, today's episode is track and field. You know what I mean? Track and field. It is important that all athletes, you know what I mean, that are skilled and that also can, that are agile enough, you know what I mean, you guys want to get out there for track and field. You know what I mean? It's important. You know what I mean? Speed kills, you know what I mean? And speed, sometimes you can't teach speed. If you already got it, you can just enhance your speed, year by year. You can always get faster. You know what I mean? If you don't got the speed, there's always different kind of training concepts and stuff like that you can, enhance your speed. You know what I mean? So, I feel like it's very important to run track. You know what I mean? Like football players, you guys should definitely be running track if you're a skilled player. You know what I mean? I don't know about other sports, but I'm a football coach, so I'm kind of preaching that all football players at their respective skill levels and skill positions, you guys should be running track. You know what I mean? Big guys, there's always, other strength events, that can also help you guys as well. So, in my opinion, track and field is an excellent sport to be able to work on things in the off season. You know what I mean? So I would advise everybody to get out there and run track. You know what I mean? Track can, show you, what you're lacking and then also enhance your running styles. You know what I mean? There's different forms of running. There's, controlled breathing. There's a lot of stuff about track and field, that will be of some essence to helping you guys out, man. There's a lot of pros with running track, man. Just figuring out ways to run, and just getting faster times, man. You guys don't understand that when these scouts come to your respective schools or as far as recruiting, if you run track. Or if you don't run track, they're gonna ask for one. Does he run track? You know what I mean? And if you do run track, they're gonna ask you, your times and stuff like that, and that can take your recruiting to the next level. You know what I mean? Trust me, it will take your recruiting to the next level. It will give you another edge on, expanding, your resume as far as like what's on there, you know what I mean? Whether you're a 3-sport athlete, you know what I mean? Whether you do this or you do that, but track is an important thing that these scouts and recruiters, look at, you know what I mean? Like if they see a guy that's, running low 10s or, even crack the 10s, in 100 meters, they're kind of automatically getting on their recruiting list, you know what I mean? Because they love speed. You know what I mean? Colleges, especially in football, they love speed. You know what I mean? That's what any sport really, you know what I mean? Speed kills, you know what I mean? And, when you're provided with the type of speed, you want to kind of lock in with track and field to enhance that speed. You know what I mean? Like I said, with the different techniques and all the stuff that those track coaches, that are out there, they can give a lot of insight and work a lot of different, techniques to be able to get you faster. You know what I mean? So if you don't watch the combine, you know what I mean? The combine, a 40 is a big thing. The 40-yard dash and running good 40 times is a big thing, you know what I mean, if you're trying to make it to the league, you know what I'm saying? So just be mindful of, what track and field can do for you. You know what I mean? If you can in the off season, if you can kind of, step back from certain things that you know to do, get out there and run track, man, for once. And watch what it does for you as far as your growth when it comes to speed. You know what I mean? And that's a major thing, like I said, that these recruiters and scouts want to see. You know what I mean? They want to see that. You know what I mean? There's so many pros when it comes to track and field. You know what I mean? And if you can, just as far as, I don't know, in your respective states, but in California, in Northern California, and Sacramento, there's a lot of good programs out there, to run for track, as far as teams to run with at the track position. There's playmakers, man. There's Ruby Jules, Sac Speed. You know what I mean? There's a lot of good programs out there that will help you with, I think it's, I might be saying it wrong, but Pantera, there's a lot of good programs, man. And we have, and I know respectively, they put out a lot of good athletes, to Junior Olympics and Nationals and stuff like that. So, kind of tap in with those people in those programs, if you're looking for a club to run with, you know what I mean? There's a lot of good programs out there, a lot, man. I've been, dealing with track and field, putting my son in track and field for the last about 3 or 4 years, and it's been nothing but great for him and his speed and agility and stuff like that. And it definitely translates to the football field and basketball and the other sports that he plays. So, once again, get your kids out there and track, man. There's plenty of good things that go about it. You know what I mean? Excuse me. But there's a lot of little details that are being taught when it comes to track and field. You know what I mean? And if you reach out to those respective coaches, you know what I mean, you can find out a lot of good things. Even with your strength and conditioning coaches, you know what I mean, they'll be able to tell you the same thing. They'll kind of mirror the same thing that I'm saying. So get out there, you know what I mean, and get better at, running, get better at form running, and, you know what I mean, and if you can, do certain events, whether it's the 400, you know what I mean, running the 400 just enhances your sprint speed, you know what I mean, and the 100 and the 200, you know what I mean, it's building your stamina when you're running the 400. If you're running the 800, that's 2 laps, you know what I mean, it also helps, like I said, with your sprinting, you know what I mean, if you can do the hurdles, same thing. So, like I said, there's a lot of good things that come with running track, man. So get out there. My fellow football athletes, you know what I mean? There should be no reason why you're not running track. Should be no reason. You know what I mean? It's just, preparing you for the next level as far as how you want to go about, your position. And it's really preparing you for that. You know what I mean? If you're a corner, you know what I mean, you got to stay with these fast guys. You know what I mean? Everything as far as football-wise is spread offense, you know what I mean? Pass heavy, you know what I mean? And it's a lot of things that come into trying to cover these fast guys on the opposite side of the ball as far as being a defensive guy, you know what I mean? But speed is what these colleges and recruiters want to see. Trust me. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being fast, you know what I mean? Like, there's some situations that they'll take a speed guy over a skill guy because they can always, enhance your skill set. So just be mindful of that. And, parents, make sure you get your kids in track at a young age. You know what I mean? By the time they get to, their teens and preteens, man, just imagine how better your kid would be if you put him in track at a young age. You know what I mean? I got a kid that's 5 years old, another son that's 9. They're in track already. So, I'm trying to get them ready to, work on form running and working on controlling their breathing and, running the right way. So, get out there, man. There's a lot of good people, man. I would advise you to get out there with, man. There's Coach Mo, he's with Playmakers. Derek Burks, you know what I mean? He's with Ruby Jules, you know what I mean? And I'm forgetting other names. I think like Tim McDowell, man, he's with Ruby Jules. These guys give a lot of insight, you know what I mean? A lot of insight, you know what I mean? Coach Mike at Playmakers, also another good cat, man. They help with, with running, man. Coach Gibson, Coach Brian, you know what I mean? They're at Grant. You know what I mean? A lot of these guys, you know what I mean, kind of solidified themselves in the track and field, you know what I mean, just business. So, you know, get with these guys. You know, there's plenty others out there. Coach Zoe, you know what I mean? He's out there. I think he's at DCA now. But a lot of these cats, man, got a lot of information and will help you get better at running, you know what I mean, striding, and, you know what I mean, there's a lot of little details, you know what I mean, there's a lot of stuff they can teach way more than me. I'm just putting it on my platform to try to help you guys out there. So, you know, once again, get your kids out there and track, man. It's a huge thing, and I think it's only becoming bigger. And what way to also put your kids in a different light? There's Junior Olympics, and then there's also the Adult Olympics, the real Olympics. You know what I mean? That if you guys can compete on those stages, man, just imagine, you know, what kind of platform you putting your kid on, man, to, you know, build their resume. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. So, you know, that continues my episode today, man. I hope you guys learned a little bit today on today's episode about track and field, man. There's a lot of good things that come with track and field. You know what I mean? So, you know, make sure you guys sub up today, and you know, we'll see you next time on another conversation with Conversations with Coach Black, man. And thank you.